Hey beer lovers, welcome to episode 6 of the Hong Kong Beer Project. This whole project started with the desire to review the cheapest, most commonly available beers in Hong Kong, and with a particular focus on the 7-Eleven fridge. And we've been through a lot of the cheap 7-Eleven cans, and we started moving up from the super cheap, i.e. $5 a can, up to the mid-level, i.e. $10 can beers. And now that we started to reach the mid-market level, it's the perfect time to start weaving in some stouts, which you'd find at your 7-Eleven or the grocery store. I'm also pretty much ready for a break from adjunct lagers. So I'm excited to start reviewing my stouts, and today I have Guinness 4 Extra and Kirin Stout. And these two beers, one or both of these beers should be available at just about any 7-Eleven you walk into in Hong Kong. And for my snack today, I just saw this for the very first time at the grocery store. They're called Fonzies BBQ Curry Best Corn Snacks. So they're kind of like Cheeto-shaped little corn snacks. Kirin Stout hails from Tokyo, Japan, and the can on this beer doesn't actually tell us what kind of style they're aiming for. So I'm going to guess that this is probably a dry stout. The ingredient says that it's just hops, malt, and water. I said that backwards, of course. Anyway, this is a 5% alcohol beer, and because of that, we're going to put this before the Guinness 4 Extra, which is almost 7% alcohol. It smells like a sweet, malty coffee without any noticeable hops. It's almost a salty, dark, maybe a tiny bit soy saucy flavor. The Kirin hits your nose with a coffee, malty flavor, but that coffeeness doesn't seem to come through in the taste. For the taste, you get a very toasted flavor with just very light hints of coffee, and a very, very lightly roasted coffee at that. And I personally am a fan of darker coffees. The other flavors that you get, and this is a little bit less pleasant, you get a little bit of a salty sweet soy sauce flavor, which is not great, but it's also very mild. It doesn't overwhelm the taste of the beer. Mostly what you taste are those toasted grains, and you do get quite a bit of malt flavor left in this beer compared to some other stouts that would be a little bit drier than this. It's on the sweet side, and the mouthfeel is mid-creamy, I would say, but a little bit still on the light side for a stout. My impression, just based on the taste, is that I'd give this beer about a 3.6. I think that's partially just because I'm excited to be drinking something other than an adjunct lager. On value, I'd put it straight in the middle. It's exactly what I'd expect for a beer in this price range. It's not blowing me away, but I'm not disappointed either for the money that I spent on it. Yeah, the only thing that I'd really ask Kirin to improve about this brew is to try to tone down that salty soy saucy flavor a little bit. Otherwise, the sweetness works pretty well, and the finish is still well controlled, which is normal for a stout. It's pretty good so far. I'm ready to try it with some snacks. We have Fonzie's Corn Snacks and Barbecue Curry Best Flavor. They look very light, oh, and the curry smells quite strong. Just comes right out at me. Oh. These things are made in Malaysia, and they really smell like a Southeast Asian curry. My experience with corn snacks so far in Asia has been that they tend to be much less crunchy than their American cousins. Oh, they look nice though. Some of them are pretty big. Very, very light, not greasy looking, and a pretty strong Southeast Asian and maybe even Caribbean kind of curry smell. As I expected, the texture is very, very light for corn snacks. Much more on the puffy side than crunchy side that you would expect if you're accustomed to eating this shaped Cheeto snack. And they taste a lot like corn. The curry flavor initially is pretty mild, but then it starts heating up in your mouth. So I've got some serious spice action right now going on towards the back of my throat. Oh, it's good. It's a real good curry flavor, and I like that it starts mild and then slowly builds up a little bit of spice as you eat more of them. The spiciness of the snacks really takes the more harsh tones off of the beer, but the saltiness also doesn't do anything to really diminish the soy sauce flavor. The difference is that now, because I've been eating some salty snacks, I'm expecting a little bit of salty flavor with the beer. So in that case, the expectation kind of changes a little bit. They go well together. It's a pretty pleasant snack combo. The Guinness Foreign Extra is the more expensive of my two stouts today, and it's also the higher alcohol content. At 6.8% alcohol by volume, it's close to 7%. It pours out with significantly less head. One thing that you should know about this, if you're familiar with Guinness, is this is not Guinness Draft. The head didn't last nearly as long as the Kirin Stout. Faded away pretty quickly. Small bubbles, nice coffee color. The Kirin had a bit of a coffee smell, but this one's more just sweet and malty, toasted grain smell. Drier. It's much, much drier. It's more bitter. It has hop flavor. It is a totally different beer from the Kirin, which was probably more on the sweet side for a stout. This one is quite dry and aggressive. There's this bitterness that could come from the really heavy toasting of the malt, but the Guinness Foreign Extra had a good pour and nice color, but a little bit disappointing head retention. Then it came on with a smell that was malty and a little bit sweet, but the flavor didn't match the smell at all. The taste of it I would describe as aggressively bitter. You get a lot of toasted flavor in here, but sometimes that toasted flavor, especially in the finish, crosses over into outright bitterness, burnt flavor, like coffee that's sat for too long. It's within the style guidelines for a foreign extra stout, but it's not working for me. I'm not really enjoying that. The mouthfeel is actually pretty good on this beer. It's a creamier. It retains carbonation longer than the Kirin Stout did. So we get a nice creamy, full-bodied mouthfeel. But I have to balance that against the fact that the burnt flavors are just a little bit too aggressive for me. So on the whole, I'd say I'd probably give this like maybe a 2.8 in terms of just taste rating. And then the value rating for me is a little bit under 2.5, let's say a 2.3. Because at this price, I think I should be getting a beer that I enjoy more than this. Now, take this with a grain of salt because they're more or less adhering to the style guidelines for the foreign extra. So maybe it's just a style of beer that I don't care for. There's some danger that the curry flavor could have dominated the flavor of the Kirin beer. Not really any danger of that here. This dark, bitter beer is not going to be dominated even by a curry spicy flavor. It does tone down the spice though. Um, I'm not sure that this snack makes me love the beer though. Snack's good. Guinness Foreign Extra is still in the pile of beers that I'm not going to be reaching for when I go to the store. Well, I'd say there weren't any big surprises today in the world of beers. The Kirin Stout was about what I'd expect for a mid-price stout. And the Guinness Foreign Extra, honestly, it's been a long time since I bought a can, and now I remember why. It's just not my favorite stout. It's a little bit too strong and too bitter. So since I only have two stouts under my belt right now, I can say Kirin's my favorite stout. The snack, the barbecue curry Fonzies, these are pretty good. They're very light. They're definitely not as crunchy as Cheetos. If you're an American, you're going to find these to be a little bit on the light textured, non-greasy side, which is cool that they're less greasy. But they have this really interesting raw curry spice flavor that I enjoyed, and they build up the spiciness level pretty quickly. So these are very enjoyable snacks. So what's coming down the pipeline in terms of videos, I'm going to get a couple more stouts at least before I go back to the lagers. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying my videos.